Welcome to this Roll for quick news roundup. I'm Will Keeler. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the recent board game news out of the big convention that happened recently. No, I'm not talking about Gen Con, that's in a week. I'm actually talking about San Diego Comic-Con, the convention that started for comics and is now usually about TV and movies. It turns out we got some board game news out of there as well, mostly from Hasbro and their division with Wizards of the Coast, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. First off, D&D. It's been 5 years since they released their 5th edition version of Dungeons & Dragons, and it has grown exponentially in popularity since then. To celebrate this, they are going to release a new special edition of their first adventure module, which revolved around everyone's favorite 5-headed evil dragon, Tiamat. The first adventure module was actually 2 books for this scenario. It was Hoard of the Dragon Queen and The Rise of Tiamat. This will actually be in 1 book now with a special new cover of said dragon and will include all 224 pages. It's slated to release this October 22nd, I believe is the exact date, but we don't have a price yet. They have some extra stuff in there as well, I think with some online content, some alternate arts and pictures, which is always awesome, especially when it involves dragons, because this is Dungeons & Dragons. So why not celebrate the biggest, baddest dragon? While D&D got some love, the real spotlight from Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast fell on Magic the Gathering. When the convention started, we were seeing some leaks. It looked like an invite and had some fairies on it. This made a lot of people speculate that we may be returning to Lorwyn when the fairy tribe really took hold and gained its infamy. There was a word on it, so we weren't sure if that was just the name of the new set. But at Magic's new panel, they announced that that was not only the name of the new set, but include the name of the new plane. This is not Lorwyn. We're going to a plane called Eldraine, with the first set being Throne of Eldraine. This is a set based off fairy tales. They released a lot of images, so I'm just going to put all those up so you can see. They're really cool. They say it's supposed to be a mix of Camelot with Grimm's fairy tales. I mean, you can definitely see that with some things like a gingerbread man, knights, evil witch. It's got everything you'd want. And they showed off and talked about the theme. They didn't really say anything about mechanics. They showed one weird card format, which looks like a weird storybook, I guess, for lack of a better word, in the text box. We'll get back to that a little bit later. What we do know is that there will be 3 planeswalkers. We're going back to the 3 instead of the over 20 from War of the Spark. And that the main one that is on the cover of all the photos is actually one we've met before. Her name is Rowan Kendrith. She's actually a twin with her brother Will Kendrith, both who have cards that were first released in the Battle Bond set, sort of a spin-off. From what we know is that the 3 planeswalkers, we know Rowan is going to be one. They said Will is in the set, and that one planeswalker is new. Now, I don't recall if they actually said Will is the second planeswalker. So I'm actually thinking that he won't be the one of the 3 planeswalkers, and in general fairy tale fashion, he's going to get cursed or something, put to sleep, and it's up to Rowan to do her best to save her brother. But until they release more, that's all I can really give you story-wise and my little bit of tinfoil hat guessing. But they did also announce a bunch of how they're going to release these cards, in which they're changing up the formula a little bit for, I don't know if it's for better or for worse. First off, the regular booster packs that we all know and love, the 15 cards with 1 rare, they're changing them to Drafter Booster. They're the same, they're just changing the name, and that's really because those packs nowadays are used more for drafting than they are for people buying them. So this is really more of either for casually getting a pack of cards or for drafting, and makes perfect sense. They're going to make this more of a thing. They started a little bit, but they've officially said this is going to be something to move on, and that's a theme booster. Now, we saw them before. I believe it started in Ravnica, and the idea is they contain 35 cards of just 1 color. What's different about this is what they clarified. For Throne of Eldraine, it's still going to have 1 that's black, 1 that's red, 1 that's white. They said that that won't always be the case for future sets. But the big interesting thing is the Collector's Booster. This is still 15 cards, but unlike our Draft Booster, which we're used to, will come with a bit more bling to it. First off, we get 1 either rare or mythic rare with extended art. We've seen this a bit with promos, but recently in the Mythic Edition, where it's just you buy a group of Planeswalkers together all with full art, or the Japanese alternate art Planeswalkers from War of the Spark, you also get a regular foil or of a rare or mythic rare, then 9 foils of commons and uncommons, then 3 special frame cards. Going back to the mechanic I told you about, they showed that off with how 1 card has sort of that book opening. That's what it's going to look regularly. And then an alternate art version. This reminded me a bit more of the master sets from like Kaladesh, where they took old cards and gave them whole new boards, but it seems this is just going to be from cards of the set. And then we get an auxiliary card and a foil token. Now, they say that this will go from $20 to $25. I have a feeling, unless this set is particularly undesirable, this will could easily go double that, because most of the times foils tend to go more, and alternate arts. There are a couple other items. We've got Planeswalker decks. We've also got Brawl decks. I didn't think Brawl was that popular, but I guess they still want to push it. And it will come apparently with mechanically unique cards into the deck. So maybe they're worth to pick up just for those cards. We've got the bundle. I used to call them fat packs, which are pretty close to being similar, but I think they now come with a promo. And then finally, we got the promo packs. These are just things won't buy. They're more things that are given out during tournaments. So not something you probably need to worry about as a consumer, more as if you want to go down and pick some of those up by visiting your local friendly gaming store. And finally, this really doesn't give us too much more information, but they actually had a panel with the Russo brothers to talk about the animated Magic Gathering series that they're making. So from the promo images, you probably already guessed this, Chandra's going to play a big part in it. But during this panel, they also talked about Jace. Apparently, those are really the two Planeswalkers they're going to focus on. Not really that big of a surprise. They're really the ones who have been Magic's favorite. Anyway, all they really said was, if you love Jace and Chandra, get excited. That is their quote. I'm curious what they're going to do with it, or whether they tell some of the stories we know. I know there was a Japanese manga. I don't know how close that is to the stories we already know, and if they'll pull from that as well. They really didn't tell us much more. What they did tell us is they actually are working on a couple other projects at the same time. One being a Grimjack series of comics, an anime series based on that. Another one is a live action adaptation of Battle of the Planets, an old cartoon. I'm a little worried they're spreading thin. That's just me being paranoid, and that they won't give Magic enough focus, or maybe they'll start early on. It'll be really good, and since they work on other projects, they'll sort of just dip. If all these are great, that would be the best. I'm also definitely interested in the other stuff too, particularly Battle of the Planets. I remember watching that as a kid. I just hope this Magic show pulls off, because what would be really awesome is if, they focus on Jace and Chandra now, but if other people could then give all the other Planeswalkers, their own little bits of story, even if it's just almost like they each have an episode, an anthology. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what we've got from Magic and D&D. Still, some really cool stuff. The D&D book sounds really awesome, and the Magic set I do think sounds interesting. And of course, visiting a new plane set of revisiting Ravnica or Zendikar for the 5th time. Hopefully that promo pack has the potential to do more good to the Magic player than bad. I just hope it doesn't just become an overpriced, annoying thing. But until then, let me know your thoughts. Are you going to pick up that D&D book? Maybe you already have the other 2 books, so you're not sure about that. Whether you think the Throne of Eldraine looks like a cool plane, whether the Card Collector's Booster is a boon or a bane to us. Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, make sure you stay tuned, because as I said at the top of the show, Gen Con is coming up, and there'll be a lot more board gaming news then. We're actually going to release a preview video of our thoughts on what we're excited about. And of course, during Gen Con, we'll be there. We'll be telling all the news. And if you're there, don't forget to say hi. But until then, I'm Will, and this has been Roll for Crit.
If you love board game content, do us a favor, like and subscribe, and support us on Patreon.
Keep watching our content to guarantee you'll top deck a good video.